he didn't feel like getting. He said, I guess he didn't want to get Breitbart. If you know Andrew Breitbart, he's scared that we're going to edit the footage and cast his group, some type of socialist group, in a bad light. So we'll move along.
I'm just curious.
I'm doing it by donation. I don't even set a price. And if somebody who doesn't have money, I'm giving it.
Well, I'll get a machine just to support the.
It goes to a young activist in New York. I'm doing it. Yeah. So, if you, I may have a need.
Yeah, Bush had to cancel his trip to Switzerland because he was going to be arrested as well.
The back of the shirt is the UN Convention Against Torture. It's a serious shirt. There's no statute of limitation in terms of indicting them for war crimes.
So you think the best thing is to indict them for Cheney?
Absolutely. I think that would be the beginning of a healing process in this country, because we would actually begin to examine the country, the policies in a deep way, and we would be maybe able to, as a country, change those policies to be more legal, more humane.
So you think torture is obviously illegal according to the U.S. According to the U.S. Constitution, or according to the UN Convention Against Torture?
Well, they ratified this convention, and if you read it, that's why I printed it.
But what about the U.S. Constitution?
It's also, yes.
All countries are supposed to follow it.
So all countries should absolutely follow a UN convention, or what about the U.S. Constitution?
For war crimes,
which takes priority?
For war crimes, it would be the international.
The conventions are the supreme law of the land, and our Constitution, which says also you can't use excessive use of cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah. Sure. So that makes it
cruel and
illegal.
unusual punishment. This Convention Against Torture, we have it ratified. It's ratified by our Congress. This isn't just the UN. Our Congress ratified this as the supreme law of the land.
Right.
So they should be. Eric Holder should have done a serious and thorough investigation, and there would have been an indictment of many, many people, including the lawyers who tried to make legal what they were doing. And we can remember back to Germany, Nazi Germany, everything they did was legal because their lawyers actually first made everything that they were doing legal. And then they went and carried out the Holocaust. Well, they learned, the playbook was there, and they learned from that. So you think that's possible in the United States?
You think that's possible in the United States?
To do that?
Not exactly the same Holocaust, but something bad, these type of bad events to actually happen in the United States, torturing American citizens here, right in the U.S.
It's happening right now here.
Sure.
One thing, our criminal justice system is pretty bad, and cruel and unusual punishment is happening all the time
in the U.S.
In Washington, D.C.
Right.
In New York City.
Right. I'm just curious. What does the U.S. boat to Gaza have to do with what you're talking about?
Well, these are a collection of all the different shirts that we have made. I'm a part of a collective of artists and activists. So they're a little bit mixed right now. But we actually, one of the things I did last year, the entire year, was try to organize to send the U.S. boat to Gaza, and it was called the Audacity of Hope. And we went to Greece, where I spent many, many months, and that was a place in which the boat was. We leased a boat, and we got people that came from the U.S., and we raised money here, and we made the attempt to send the boat to the Israeli blockade after we learned of the attack on the Mavi Marmara. We started right then, the 24 hours we started organizing.
So you think they should have the boat should have gone and docked in Gaza?
Well, I worked a year for that.
But he is consistent, man.
Day and night.
Yeah.
So
I thought that, yes, that definitely should have happened. And what happened is the blockade, The year before, Israel attacked the flotilla in international waters. This year, they brought the blockade into Greek territorial waters, and they stopped us from going through petty bureaucracy. So we were not able to get out of the ports. We were arrested. The boat was arrested. The people were arrested.
Wow. So do you think that Israel is what, a criminal nation or what?
Well, I don't think well, as I criticize our foreign policy and our government leaders, I don't criticize all Americans. I think that their forces here absolutely opposed to those policies and those values that are behind those policies. In Israel, I know there are Israelis absolutely opposed to the occupation, opposed to the blockade. They cross the checkpoints and they work side by side, stand side by side with the Palestinians in nonviolent protest against the wall, against encroachment onto the Palestinian land.
You said against the wall. What are you talking about? The separation barrier?
Yes, and there are
so what do you think?
Israelis
The separation barrier should be torn down?
I think the mentality should be torn down, and then the wall will crumble. I think the mentality, the notion of a security state by the barrel of a gun, by building a absolutely ghastly, expensive, disproportionate, monstrous kind of force, which we do here and they do there, which then robs the people of the nation of their true security, which robs them of their treasury because it goes to keeping up this false sense of security. I think that should start to change.
So you think the suicide bombers,
society,
the suicide bombers that
together.
attacked? Do you think the suicide bombers
I think
are
that
justified?
Are they justified?
In what they were doing, the Palestinians?
I think that form of violence also is a terrible, tragic use of violence, and I think it's not. And I think right now,
well, what was the reason they
most
built
of the
wall?
people in Palestine are not using or advocating for a violent resistance.
Most of them are not.
No, most of the people, I'm saying, the general population there are not, advocating at this point for that type of resistance. Most of the people are participating in other forms of resistance. They're actually marching to places where there's an encroachment onto their land. They're actually, women are going, listen to this, they're going to olive trees that were in their family line for 100 years. These olive trees are being bulldozed. They are hugging the olive trees while the bulldozers are the military bulldozers are coming to uproot them. This has to stop. It is absolutely the building of settlements.
Sure. So what was the reason? I mean, the original reason for building the separation barrier. Do you think that at that time it was justified to build it, or are you saying what are you saying? It wasn't justified, or it was?
No, I think it's pathological. I think it's a sign of a deep-seated pathology to build. And what they've done is,
But can you answer yes and no?
I'm Jewish.
Well,
no, I
as
can't
well.
answer yes or no.
You can't.
I'm not on
it's not a yes or no answer.
I'm not on the stand, and no, I can't answer yes or no. I won't answer yes or no because that's a kind of simplistic.
Too simplistic to answer yes or no.
Yeah, and the question is too simplistic. So you're framing a simple question. I'm not going to answer a simple question with a simple answer. And I mean, it's not a soundbite to actually talk about as complex a matter as that tragedy and the violence in Israel-Palestine, and also in the whole of the region. And look at what we did in Iraq, and look at what, we invaded a country that we had no reason to invade. So it's you look at occupations.
Of course, when you talk about Israel, I mean, you're so focused on Israel.
No, I'm not. I'm not so focused on Israel. You don't even know me. I have one thing here that says to Gaza. Yes, I am focused on that. Those conditions there and the conditions of oppression and the abuse of power. That's why.
I mean, for example, where's the T-shirt saying "Arrest President Assad"? Arrest Assad.
Well, you can make that. You know what? I can. You know what? You know what it takes to make
But
all
why
the
is such a focus on Israel
Why is-
itself,
no, look
when
at
the Middle East
look,
itself?
You're the one that's actually worried that I'm
There are
focused
dictators all over
on
the Middle East.
You're the one.
Are there not dictators all across the Middle
But
East?
this is
Gaddafi,
wait.
Assad, and it's all the focus is on everything going on.
Right? Mubarak.
Of course, Mubarak.
And where did do you know how much we gave to Mubarak's government for how many years?
Of course, billions of dollars.
What did you think? No, not thousands.
I said billions. I didn't say
Yeah. We gave it to that government.
Of course we
a
did.
dictator. And now
Of
the
course
people,
we
the
did.
civil society,
And we also give $600 million a year to the Palestinians.
overthrown. They're overthrowing the dictator that we propped up.
Sure.
We propped up
So
a
what would
lot
you
of
suggest to be done about
One thing-
the foreign aid that the U.S. gives to Israel?
I think it should be the military aid should be cut off.
Just the military aid?
The military aid should be cut off.
The rest of the aid
At
is
this
okay?
point. And I think our military budget should be cut, and I think more money should go into the actual needs of people, the civil society in this country. And I think
What about as far as the aid to the Palestinian Authority?
I think once that country has a right to actually to their sovereignty, to secure at this point.
But the military, the aid to the Palestinian Authority is $600 million a year. Do you think that should be
Well,
cut
that
off?
is not going to.
Can you give me a yes or no on that?
Are they going? No, I think that's not going to build their military. Do they have a military, a standing military? Is that a standing military? And do they have a stand? They don't even have a standing military. What they have now is an occupation. They have disproportionate force on one side, and they don't have the aid. What is it going for?
Disproportionate force. That's why we need to aid the Palestinians and cut off aid to Israel.
Disproportionate force, that's right. But I'm talking military aid. Are we giving military aid to the PA? Military aid?
We don't give any military aid to the PA.
No, there is no military.
I know that's totally false.
There's not a military. Is there
They
a
do
military?
have police forces there, and we
It's
give
not a
aid to
military.
them. Most of the aid to Israel is military
They
aid
don't have- do
anyway.
they have military
Most of the
at
aid to Israel is military aid. So in other words, you're fine with foreign aid going to the Palestinian Authority, but not to Israel.
I said military aid, right? Which is building,
We gotta differentiate.
which is building a military disproportionate force that's abusing its power, committing war crimes, and actually using that money in a way that is against. It should be against. It's against our conventions. People are actually taken to checkpoints there.
Are you familiar with the policies of the Palestinian Authority as well?
I'm familiar with people in the civil society there, and I'm listening to the people in the civil
Are you
society.
aware that there's a young
And,
Palestinian blogger in jail in the Palestinian territory? In jail, but the Palestinian Authority has him arrested in jail. And you don't hear anything about his case.
I'm
and do you know
listening.
why he's in jail?
Why?
He's in jail for being an atheist.
Well,
He's in jail, and we don't hear anything about it. Zero. The young guy was caught in
They're
in
in front
an
of the Air
internet.
and Space Museum, and they're doing an action there, and a bunch of people just got pepper sprayed. I don't know if they're making arrests or not, but please get on your tweets, your Facebook, and your email, your blogs, whatever, and get the word out that several people got pepper sprayed at the demonstration in front of the Air and Space Museum down in the mall. Thank you.
Okay, so obviously she favors the Palestinians over Israel regardless. Cut off aid to Israel and continue aid to the Palestinians, and I don't know if she wants to continue aid to all all Arab countries, but she says it's disproportionate force that the Israelis have, so we must cut off aid to Israel.